You want that laminated? At the time, I worked in the copy center of a popular office supply store. One evening, a 30-something man came in with his Super Bowl tickets and wanted them laminated to preserve them. It's important to note that lamination does not preserve items long term. It yellows and cannot be removed from the item, makes it difficult to determine if the item is fake, and eventually falls apart and peels. Secondly, and more importantly, lamination uses heat, so it turns heat-printed items, like Super Bowl tickets, solid black, which eventually fades completely. It would ruin the tickets in 20 seconds. So I told him this and refused. He insisted. I refused, which was 100% allowed when it came to the lamination machine, as it destroys the customer's original media. He called me some names, so I continued to refuse. He called for a manager. The manager had exactly zero patience for any shenanigans at all. He told the customer no. The customer carried on the tantrum. I typed up a basic release form as I knew what was coming. It stated that lamination would destroy the tickets, had everything about the tickets, and was relatively ironclad coming from someone who makes minimum wage. The manager finally said fine. We would laminate them. I handed him the release and he insisted that the customer sign it. He told me to laminate the tickets, and I refused again, knowing that I could still be disciplined for ruining the originals. I always had the backing of management to refuse to ruin things. So the manager laminated the tickets. The tickets turned black. The customer lost his mind. The manager retreated to the locked office. The cops showed up and hauled off the customer. Corporate was not involved somehow, probably because of the cops. The customer claimed the tickets were worth over $1,000 each. But not anymore. You could laminate the release form as a souvenir edit. Thanks so much for the award. Less than 3. I've worked in 3 different stores in my office supply company. At my last store, everyone know print center basics. So everyone knew that something glossy might bubble if they ran it through the laminator. One of my coworkers comes up to me once and said, "Guy has something glossy. He still wants it laminated. What should I do?" I tell him, grab one of the generic lamination waivers under the counter and have him sign it. Coworker comes up to me a couple minutes later. I messed it up. But it didn't bubble. I looked at it. It was black. The item had been a business license of some sort that had been printed on thermal paper, which felt glossy to the guy who wasn't back in print center often. I asked the coworker, "Well, did you have him sign the waiver like I said?" Coworker replies, "No. He said he was okay with bubbles." So I got to go apologize and explain to the guy what happened. Now when I train people, I run a piece of receipt tape through the laminator to show them what happens if they run thermal paper through, and tell the story, with the admonition, if it's a customer original, you always get them to sign a waiver. Customer claimed the tickets were worth over $1,000 each. Was he trying to laminate tickets before using them? Even if they stayed legible, wouldn't that void them anyway? He was lamenting lamination. Well, I learned new stuff about lamination, thanks. I have no doubt this played out exactly as described, but I'd live to know what the customer thought was going on. Did he think that you were lying? Or does anything that is not immediate, fawning compliance sound like the adults from Charlie Brown to him? How would you properly preserve such items? No way that thermal printed tickets were worth anything beyond sentimental value. Vintage SB tickets would have been printed. The customer is always wrong. You could hear the lamination of his tickets.
Beautiful.
My mom ran a print shop owned by a school district. They used to have a laminator in a central office building, but decided to give it to her. She hated laminating. It was tedious, took a long time, and elementary school teachers wanted literally everything laminated. And, because she was on a budget, she had to actually stand there and position everything as efficiently as possible, so as not to waste plastic. So it was even more tedious. One time, a teacher had a bunch of posters made, but she got them made really cheaply. These were fairly large posters, completely thermally printed. She sent them to my mom to be laminated. My mom sent back giant black squares. To be fair to my mom, her shop didn't do thermal printing, and it was a relatively unfamiliar tech at the time. This was a while ago, so she didn't know that would happen. A fool and his tickets are soon parted, or at least blackened Cajun style. He should have gone to a comic book store where they sell stuff specifically designed to protect comic books, cards and other stuff. May I dare guess you are a woman and that may be why he didn't take you seriously? Was this before or after the Super Bowl? I looked at the cost of Super Bowl tickets this year. For a lark, the cheapest I saw was about $2,500. That dude would go into my PAW file. Why not photocopy the tickets, then laminate the copy instead? When I worked at a print center, I had a couple come in to get their ultrasound laminated. I didn't think anything of it and went right ahead and did it. Turns out they're thermal printed. The couple said they could probably get copies from the doctor, but I felt so bad. Not at all valuable. But I did the same thing with a Ticketmaster ticket autographed by the members and crew of the band. Everclear. And if he'd looked around the office supply store a bit, he would have found the DIY lamination pack that is several sticky-backed clear plastic sheets. No heat required.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.